there are plenty of cis women and cis men who, like, the cis women were assigned female at birth, they identify as women, and they're happy being a woman, but they don't pass as a woman. We've been going for a while. We need to move on.
We do.
So, moving on to this one. Women are getting harassed in bathrooms because of anti-transgender hysteria. I don't like that they're using the word hysteria because, like, you're trying to be an ally and you're using a word that's rooted in not taking women's health care seriously.
Wasn't it literally a medical diagnosis at one point?
Hysteria
like,
was the word hysteria is etymologically tied to the word uterus. I forget exactly how. It's like
I mean,
hysterectomy.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically wandering womb, anti-transgender wandering womb syndrome. Like, I don't like the word hysteria. We can retire that word. There are other words that we can use.
That's understandable. I feel like we're at an age where that particular word is understood to not always mean, something going specifically with women, but I understand the etymology.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, that's one of those things where, like, it doesn't mean that anymore, but, like, it's close. It's still close enough that it's like, let's go with Savage Cobra's idea of saying something like moral panic, or in this case, stupidity would also work.
Stupidity would definitely work.
Yeah. Also fun. As fun as it is to say that women used to go to the doctor and they would, like, give them like the doctor would finger bang them until they had an orgasm as a treatment for hysteria. That's not actually very widely evidenced. Like, there wasn't actually a wide practice of that. Like, there might have been one or two doctors that were kind of like, oh yeah, we can cash in on this, but, like, it wasn't a common practice. But anyway,
I'd actually not heard that. This is the first I've heard about that.
Have you not heard of that?
I had not heard about that at all. Then
That's
again,
such a common urban legend.
It's not one that I'd heard, though.
Wow.
Or it's not one that I had retained, at the very least.
I was about to Google that so I could show you, but then I'm like, no, that's the kind of thing that if I Google, I might get taken down off of YouTube if I Google that without checking first.
This is why I Google things on a secondary monitor, and then if they're safe, I'll pull them to the primary.
Usually I'm Googling stuff that is probably okay.
Right, but that probably is doing a lot of work sometimes, I think.
Okay.
But, okay, so women getting harassed in bathrooms for anti-transgender hysteria. Titling aside, I've seen a lot of stuff on this where it's usually, like, it's cis women who apparently don't pass for one reason or another. A lot of times it's like they have PCOS and therefore might have some facial hair that, they just didn't take care of that morning if they didn't want to, or just they might be non-binary. Who knows? Who cares? But a lot of times it is people who are AFAB who are getting the brunt of this, actually. Yeah. Which statistically makes sense because there are more AFAB people that aren't trans than there are AMAB people who are.
Well, and something that I don't see discussed very often is that it's not uncommon for... Now, I'm not actually going to read this article. I just wanted to talk about this topic, so I brought it up.
Yeah.
Because like they link to data in here. You can, like, this is on Vox, so you've seen the title. You can look this up for yourself if you like. But yeah, no, it's one of these issues that there are plenty of cis women and cis men who, like, the cis women were assigned female at birth, they identify as women, and they're happy being a woman, but they don't pass as a woman. Like, you look at them and you might think, like, oh, that looks like kind of a manly woman or something like that.
I mean, ignoring the fact that they're just, there are some women who want to be more masculine without, losing their particular gender identity.
I'm not even talking about, like, butch lesbians
fall through the cracks here,
or anyone else or tomboys or anything like that. I'm not even talking about that, like, those as well. But, like, there are cis women who were assigned female at birth and identify as women who do not pass. Same thing for men. There are cis men assigned male at birth. They're maybe a little smaller than the average man. They're kind of scrawny, feminine, whatever. They don't necessarily pass as male. Maybe they have long hair, something like that.
They tend to get harassed a whole lot.
And I would be willing to bet that there are more cis people that do not pass as their preferred gender than there are trans people total.
I mean, again, statistically, that just kind of stands to reason. Like, ignoring the fact that intersex people make up, 1.7% of the world population?
Something
and
like that.
People who are trans, which is not the same thing as people who are intersex, people who are trans make up around the same-ish percent. Just the people who are intersex can fill up that number on their own. Not all of them have the issue of not passing, but that number alone might actually eclipse the data for us.
That's actually another thing about the Florida bathroom bills, is that they actually have a provision for intersex people in there. So like intersex people are allowed to go into whatever bathroom it is that they've been, I guess, transitioned into. But
if you're going to have the provision at all, then why have the provision if you're going to lock somebody away from it because they...
No, but they have that provision where they're allowed to do it, but they have to be able to prove that a doctor diagnosed them as intersex, and they have to be able to show paperwork, essentially. It's, hey, I want to go use the bathroom, papers, please. Like, the right is always... Like, they go nuts when the left wants to implement anything that would require, like, gun registration. Like, I want you to register your firearm so that we know how many dangerous weapons you have. And they all, oh, that's like Nazi Germany with the papers, please, paper, please. It's like, no, the papers, please is for existing as just who you are. So if you're an intersex person and you need your papers to use the washroom, that would be an appropriate time to bring up the papers, please comparison.
But that's the one that they want. That's the world that they're gunning for.
Yeah, but it's closer to fascism than, just wanting to restrict guns are.
Yep. I kind of hate this. Like, yeah. Obviously not good, but just the amount of mental energy it takes to sit there and try to run through, like, okay, how many scenarios is this going to fuck somebody in that's not even the preferred target?
So here's the thing. The main reason I brought this up is because I have put together a list.
Ooh, the doc?
The doc. I've put together a list of trans-related research, and I've actually kind of organized it now. Like, at first, I just threw all the links on there, and then it's like, okay, somebody's going to open this. They're not going to know what to look for. They're going to get overwhelmed. It's like, there's something to be said for just, like, when someone's just asking questions, but they're, like, they're being dishonest about it. They're just trying to make it look bad or whatever. Like, oh, you don't have any data to support it. Okay, here's a whole list of fucking peer-reviewed evidence that proves you wrong. They're not going to read it, but, like, at least you have it. Here's a bunch of papers that prove you wrong. And so there's something to be said for that. But yeah, I also actually want people to read these things. So I've kind of structured it a little better. So, like, if you're looking for something specific, you can go there. So this is at linktr.ee/rhinotransresearch. The link for this is in the description of my video. You remember to put it in your video when you upload this clip to YouTube. But, like, this is not an exhaustive list by any stretch of the imagination, but, like, these are some papers that I commonly reference with regards to trans issues. So, like, there's the first section is evidence that being trans is real. So, like, starts off with an article. This is not a peer-reviewed article, but it's by Dr. Stephen Novella, who, like, he cites all sorts of peer-reviewed literature in his article where he explains biological sex and how he actually considers gender identity to be an aspect of biological sex, because the evidence shows that your gender identity is biologically based. It forms in the brain biologically while you're forming in the womb. So, like, your gender identity is part of your sex. So the whole separation of, like, oh, well, your gender can change, but your sex can't. It's like, it's not necessarily true.
Well,
But
especially considering that we look for more than just chromosomes when we're talking about sex anyway.
yeah. But then we've got the molecular basis for gender dysphoria. So it's talking about hormonal structures and like how they interact during field development, and like they've found certain genetic markers that are indicative of someone being trans. This is one for one specific genetic marker that is associated with being female to male trans. Um, there's a twin study which found that identical twins are far more likely to both be trans than fraternal twins, which indicates there is a very strong genetic link there. Then there's the sexual orientation, its basis in brain structure and function. That one's not specifically about trans, but he does mention this. This is my favorite paper. It's published in the journal PNAS by author Dick Swab, and it's he points out that the research as of the publishing of that paper, which was 2008, very much said that gender identity forms in the womb. And so, like, that's the first section. Being trans is real. Second section is that providing gender-affirming care is better for trans people than not providing gender-affirming care. Like, gender-affirming care is the best form of treatment. So this is a whole swath of papers, and it's everything from, like, hormone therapy to puberty blockers to talk therapy to surgery, like any kind of gender-affirming care you can think of. There is a paper in here somewhere that shows that people who receive that care do better than people who do not. Like, so gender affirming care is good for trans people. There's a section on use of puberty blockers and how, like, there's a concern about bone density. Evidence suggests that it's possibly a pre-existing condition. Like, there might be a something else going on with trans people that's causing low bone density in trans people in general, not so much in people taking puberty blockers. That's not conclusive. There could very well be a problem with bone density, but like having a bone density problem is better than suicide.
Yeah.
And there's regret after transitioning. There's a couple papers on how social stigma and minority stress are like basically the main problems for that trans people and LGBTQ people face. So like a whole pile of peer-reviewed scientific literature that I encourage all of you to like go read these articles. Anyone who's just asking questions, drop them this link, see how far they actually get into it, if they even get into it at all.
Should I talk about the experience I had with one of the articles in here here recently on Twitter? Do you think this would be an appropriate place to do that?
Sure. It's tweets.
Sure. Okay, cool. So, I made a post on Twitter saying that because I was at the gym and Fox News was playing at the gym because of course it is.
Oh, is this the interaction I'm already aware of?
Yes, this is
okay.
that.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, cool. So I was at the gym and I see, Fox News is playing and they have an entire segment just inundated with people bitching about trans people in sports. And under the little header, they have a bunch of different things popping up saying study and the title of the study. Like they just have the titles of studies coming up instead of any actual like substantive information. Like, aha, look, we're talking about this and look at what information we have that shows we're right. So they pull up a study that says that, testosterone has such a high effect during development that is the thing that causes, trans people in sports to be problematic. And I'm like, okay, cool. So you're willing to bring up that study. You're willing to pop it at the bottom of your bar. You're super confident in that. But you hate puberty blockers, the thing that would actually stop the testosterone from having that effect. That's what they do. That is their function. So I made a tweet saying that. It's really funny that, Fox News is pissed about trans people in sports because of the testosterone disadvantage, but they're not willing to allow for puberty blockers, which literally addresses the testosterone disadvantage.
Well, also, okay, I know where you're going, but just if I could tangent for 1 second.
Sure.
What I find really amusing about this is like trans women are literally taking performance inhibiting drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're concerned. Like I don't know. That's just the opposite of what you're normally concerned about in sports. Like I'm literally taking drugs that make me perform worse.
I mean, that's why the Olympics Committee has allowed trans women in sports for a while.
Since
It's why
2005.
and it's why they have the limitations on testosterone levels even for cis women.
Actually, no, it might be 2002.
But so I made that post, and then a person I used to have a lot of respect for, Chris Shelton,
a person who's been on my channel,
decided to make a post under it going, puberty blockers do not even begin to address the inequities in transports. It is the trans bodies. What the fuck is a trans body? How was that any different than anybody else's body? But let's ignore that for a second. It is the trans bodies that produce the inequalities. And so I went, okay, are you willing to unpack that? That's all I said is, are you willing to unpack that? No, I am not willing to. One, I don't have the time to. Two, if I do, then people are going to start saying I'm transphobic, which I'm not. Oh, okay. So
don't be.
You're not willing to unpack that. So I show this to you. You grab this article here. You send it to me.
Yep.
And then my response is, okay, understandable, but maybe next time, when the science doesn't agree with you, maybe don't just throw your opinion out there without backing it up. Because and then I linked the article you gave me, like, by the way, here's a source. And then Chris's response is to go, I will say my opinion whenever I damn well please, basically. You have no power over me, and then blocks me on Twitter. This is the second time I've been blocked by him on Twitter. The last time was over BLM stuff. So at one point I got unblocked, and now I've been blocked again.
Yeah, so... I have. he kind of makes me sad because I used to have a lot of respect for him, but like he gets so dogmatic about certain things and then just refuses to listen to any sort of reason, but like then insists that his position is the reasonable one. But like probably the worst part is like he has a pattern of like he will do what he did to you. He'll reply to someone, and then when they call him out for being wrong, he blocks them. It's like, you started this fight, brah. Like, don't start things if you're not willing to carry them through. Like, I'm willing to have a conversation with you, but like, if you just like he just wants to throw shade and run away without being held to account for that. Like, no, that's not the way it works. But anyway, I'm gonna have to completely redo my crop because this article ruined it. But yeah, so yeah, if I could just get into like the trans women in sports debate, I know it, like there's more nuance to it than like this is just one thing. I know there's more to it than this, and I honestly don't care about sports, so I don't want my lack of caring about sports to come across as a lack of caring for the people who compete in sports. So I tend to just kind of step away from that particular aspect of the whole trans thing. I like, as far as I'm concerned, you just let trans women compete as women. But like, maybe there is more nuance to it than that. I don't actually know. But this was a pretty thorough like review of several studies. And what they found is that the evidence suggests that trans women who have undergone testosterone suppression have no clear biological advantage over cis women in elite sports. Okay, that actually tracks because like how many trans people have actually like successfully won? And I kind of hate this argument, but at the same time it is kind of true. Because like on the one hand, I hate this argument because as soon as a trans person actually does win first place at something, then suddenly it's like, see, they won first place, therefore all trans women should be banned from. It's like, no, they're competing because they want to win.
Yeah, that's not how
like,
we do science ever. We don't point to a single anecdote and then write it into the sunset. Yeah. I did have this argument with a friend of mine a while ago. It's a friend of mine who I respect a lot. It's not like an uncordial argument, but they did make the point that like, hey, you know, there are some scenarios where losing first in a single race or a single sporting event may impact a woman's ability to get like a college scholarship based on their athletic performance. First of all, I don't think that's exactly how that works, but let's pretend it does for a minute. That says more for how stupid fucking college scholarships are as a concept when we should have college education be free in general. That's
a
more
whole
to the
other issue, though.
Like, that says more to the absolute fucking back-asswards brokenness of that system than it does anything about individual trans women.
Okay, sorry, I just have to bring this up. Blade Runner says last time people cried about trans women at a sporting event, she came in 6th. So much for advantages. The last time I saw people complaining about trans women in a sporting event, it was a marathon where she came in like 2000th. So it's like she wasn't even in the top 1,000 people. Like, I might have the number wrong. I don't remember, but it was like some ridiculously like it was above average. Like, she wasn't like below the median, but like she was nowhere even close to first.
So the end result of this particular article for me is, after this, I'm in a group chat with a few other content creators, and maybe we should separate sporting events by something less stupid.
Yeah, well, because that's so. This is I want to read the second thing before you go on.
Yeah,
says one of the key sociocultural findings of this meta-analysis was that policies that impact trans women's participation in elite sport are the continuation of a long history of exclusion of women from competitive sport, an exclusion that resulted in the introduction of women's category of sport in the first place. So, like, if you actually go through and read this report. It's been a while since I've read it myself, so I might have the details a little bit wrong, but my understanding is that the whole reason that women's sports exist as a category is because women were not being allowed to compete against men, and they were kicking their asses when they did. So it's not like the whole division of women's sports versus men's sports is problematic to begin with. So, like, throw trans women into the mix, and, like, well, the division's already problematic. So, like, what does it matter? I don't know.
T with the Goblins real quick says, is it possible to get a link to the report, please? Type in !collab. That'll give you a link to Rhino's stream, and in the description of his stream is a link to this report. But
yeah, so it's at the very bottom of my trans research thing. Like, at the very, you can't see it because there's the crop. I fixed the crop.
Yeah.
At the very bottom it says trans women in sports, and it's the sole thing in there because I'm lazy and I haven't really looked into it because I don't really care that much. But it is a massive meta-analysis, so it's not like it's just one individual study that looked at like 50 people. It's an
86-page super doc.
Yeah,
I had to look through it when I was, because there was some person who was like, hey, can you surmise the doc for me after they were really antagonistic, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. Hold on, let's go. But the end result of all this for me, I complained about this in two groups, a group that I'm in with Rhino and a group that I'm in with Xanderhall. And the end result of that complaining in the other group is now I have a collaboration that's going to be happening with Brianna Wu going over all of this, who actually, like, goes in and talks to major news organizations and, you know, helps to get rhetoric for legislation passed. So, like, now the end result of this is me going, this was going to be a spite-filled fight with Chris Shelton, and now it's turning into actual productive content, which may say something about my mental state, positive or negatively. I'm not certain.
So back on top, well, not on topic, on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Milo Yiannopoulos caught Marjorie Taylor Greene, Kanye West campaign cash scandal. Okay, that's a really clunky fucking headline. What the fuck is that?
It's hold on, I've got it pulled up on my other monitor because there's a way that it's supposed to be read. Hold on. Milo Yiannopoulos caught in Marjorie Taylor Greene Kanye West campaign cash scandal. It feels clunky, but it's basically a tabloid article.
No. Wait, no. This needs like a 50s style announcer voice. Milo Yiannopoulos caught in Marjorie Taylor Greene Kanye West cash campaign scandal. I mixed up the words.
More news at 11. Oh boy!
Alt-right agitator Milo Yiannopoulos used the credit card for Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's Republican Georgia campaign last November to purchase an internet debate. Okay, I'm not.
I could do it.
Yeah,
voice acting is something I want to go into. I'll do it.
It is also something I want to go into. So when you figure out how to get into it, you let me know, okay?
I mean,
because I don't want to pay voices.com $400 a year when you look into it. That seems to be one of those things that just takes advantage of aspiring actors.
Oh no, you don't do that. We'll talk after the show.
Okay.
Alt-right agitator Milo Indianapolis used the credit card from Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's campaign last November to purchase an internet domain for Kanye West's still unannounced 2024 presidential bid.
Okay.
He was reimbursed for the domain transfer.
Let's just fucking speed through this one. He used Marjorie Taylor Greene's campaign credit card to buy a domain name for Kanye West for about $7,000. He then sold the domain name to Kanye West for $10,000. But it's unclear whether he was like skimming that $3,000 for himself or whether that was like a legitimate thing. I don't see how that could be legitimate. And later on, like, you get to professional analysts later on in this article talking about how they don't see how it could be legitimate. Like, it looks pretty bad on its face. Yeah. His defense for this is, of course, this is always the defense when something like this happens. It's the same defense Ted Cruz gave when he liked a porn post on Twitter. Is, oh, it was a staffer. It was a junior staffer who did it.
It's always an unnamed
junior staffer, yep. But what's even more fun in this one is that Milo is saying that it's someone that he employs. It's not an employee of Marjorie Taylor Greene. But when like push for details on that, it's like, well, how are you affording to like hire an employee when you were an unpaid intern? He claimed that Marjorie Taylor Greene was paying him, but like her financial reports for her campaign do not indicate that she was paying him. So there's some sketch going on here.
I think he still gets a decent bit of money from like his old fucking post Gamergate shit.
Yeah, fine, but like it's still sketchy. The way he's saying that he has a junior staffer when he doesn't, or doesn't appear to. But anyway, probably the funniest part of this for me is that Ye, it's just Ye now. He's been kind of like pseudo campaigning, where he's been like trying to prolong the 2020 campaign without officially going into the 2024 campaign, because like there's stuff you legally have to do if you're actually going to be campaigning, and I guess he doesn't want to do it. But having spent more than $5,000 on a domain name means that he is now legally required to register with the Federal Elections Committee for his 2024 campaign. So this is forcing Ye to register for his campaign when he doesn't want to. And Milo is potentially in hot water for stealing. And if Marjorie Taylor Greene's campaign actually did approve of that particular transaction, that is an excessive and unreported in-kind contribution to his campaign. And so there's some legal stuff that she could get into for that. Oh, but okay, you know what? I almost forgot about this. I'm so fucking glad I thought about this. I have a clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene right now.
Do you have to show it?
I do have to. It's a good clip.
There are no good clips.
Okay, it's Congress laughing at her.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take it. Let's go.
She presided over Congress for a minute, and this is what happened.
The members are reminded to abide by decorum of the House.
Are they just ignoring her?
Yeah, no, they laughed at her. They laughed in her face because she, who is known for making disturbances and being a shit disturber in general, is now saying the members are reminded to. And what's great about this, I don't know if you picked up on that, but she didn't know how to call for them to, be like follow the rules of decorum. So like the guy beside her,
hitting the gavel on the thing.
No, the guy beside her actually like had to like whisper it into her ear so that she could actually say it, and you can hear it on the mic. So I'm going to replay that. I'm going to crank the volume a bit. So don't say anything because you're on the same channel as this.
Okay.
So did you hear that? like that guy.
Kind of hear it.
That guy on the left had to like get up and whisper it to her so that she could she could remember what to say, and then immediately after he
The
finishes,
members are reminded
she says
to abide
exactly
by
what he
decorum
said.
of the House.
and then they all laugh at her.
And I'm gonna get into Congress so I can laugh at Marjorie Taylor Greene and get paid for it. Oh wait, that's me being a content creator. Actually, I'm never mind. I'm already set up with that.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I want to get into Congress so I can get paid to laugh at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh wait,
Well, you have to
that's
move
already my job.
You have to move into a different district for that.
Oh right, I can't because she's over mine.
You'd have to run against her.
So the last guy we ran against her was basically a Democrat cosplaying as a Republican.
I would like to make a campaign contribution of £1 million.
You cannot pound me one nor a million times. Not here, not now, not ever.
I got a transparent Prince Chuck.
I like how it actually isolates him. That's so weird.
Sorry, King Chuck. He's King Chuck now.